All right, good morning, everyone. Hope you all are doing well. Happy Friday. Let's take a look and see what Bitcoin is doing today. So, it looks like overnight we didn't do too much. This is on the daily time frame. We're bouncing off of the 62,467 that I plotted before I went to bed last night. Um, honestly, I think that for this week, that's probably going to be your bottom, this 62 140, or sorry, 62 237, around that area, it looks like. um there's a decent chance that we consolidate, slowly work our way back up a little bit. We did find resistance off of the 63,372 line, so that was a fib that I drew before, and now it's being used as resistance. However, we are consolidating quite close to it, and it does look like there's a possibility that we might breach it today. So just kind of keep that in mind. We could be in the range of 63,372 to 64,401, and we will possibly close our weekly candle within this range up here. One thing I wanted to note is I know a lot of people are short right now, but that being said, there's a few things to note when it comes to why, price is not wanting to plow through this area. Firstly, you're bouncing again off of your 200 MA on the weekly, right? So that's kind of the first, area of resistance right before we just kind of straight up plow through it. The other thing I wanted to mention is when we were in our consolidation period last year, you know, honestly, like we're right in the middle of this consolidation period. That we were hovering around for about a year's time almost. So it was, I think, was it about a year? It was about maybe six-ish months. Yeah, 6 to 8 months, something like that, within this range. So this is not going to be an area really that price is going to be able to really just straight up plow through, more than likely. It's going to be an area that's going to provide a little bit more of resistance. As we can see here, we stopped at 59,289, kind of matching this bottom right here. It's not going to be an easy area for price to just want to fall through. Um, and that's one of the reasons why I haven't been extremely bearish with this, is because, there's a few things a few different areas of confluence that I've noticed. So as far as, today goes, I'm not of the mindset that we're probably going to drop further today. I feel like the bottom, and I currently believe that the bottom was yesterday, with price action. So taking a look back now and zooming back into our daily and then obviously our 12-hour, we have this kind of, this bullish engulfing candle now that's forming, as long as it can close like this, which is a really good sign. On top of bouncing off of 786, we have a beautiful cup and handle pattern. So this is really setting up for there to be a possible bullish breakout next week, in my opinion, as long as we can keep these lows right here. Okay. Um, so, there's a lot of people. Another thing you got to think about is there's a lot of people that are short right now. A lot of people, went through to this 3-day weekend. They just opened a short and they just left it, right? And when we drill down into the 4-hour and the 1 hour, you'll be able to see it more, but you'll be able to see how what I discussed yesterday, like, forming a bearish pattern in a discount breaks upward usually. You'll see how that rings true. We get a prime example today of how that happens. So again, 8-hour getting another bullish engulfing candle. 4-hour doing that same thing. We really bounced a lot off of the 786 level, so this could be a decent level of support unless it breaks. I feel like another potential bounce off of it again may, let price through, to 61 140 62 146, or even down to 61 709. But for right now, it looks like it's bouncing pretty strongly. So taking a look at the 1 hour, so this is what I was talking about just now, is, you had a descending triangle pattern, right? Um, Let me see if I can get my tool working here. So you had a descending triangle pattern. However, it broke, it basically broke up, right? It did the opposite of what descending triangles usually do, right? Now, descending triangles that are in a premium, right? They will break down for the most part, okay? But we did a descending triangle in a discount. Okay, so there's a big difference between, I mean, this is another prime example of it. Descending triangle in a discount breaks up because we are in a discount. Okay, so really knowing the environment that you're in within the range, going back to the 4 hour, knowing the range that you're in is extremely important because if you're below that 50% line, you're considered in a discount. Okay, doesn't mean that we're going to get above the 50% line necessarily, but you just have to understand that, a lot of times patterns that form in a discount will break up, you know. And that's why I was talking about yesterday, bullish patterns in a in a premium, right, will break down. So even this, right, you could even call this somewhat of a descending triangle right here on the 4 hour. I know this is probably like a descending or a falling wedge type of pattern, but I mean this kind of is a descending triangle here on the 4 hour at least, and that broke down, right? That broke down. Why? Because we're in a premium of the range. So just kind of keep that in mind, guys, as we're going through and we're talking about, premium discount. That's like one thing that's really important to keep in the back of your mind right here. Let's go ahead and move now into our trading different liquidity tool, as well as, the Kiyotaka order book. So taking a look at trading different, we can see here on the 4 hour that we have a little bit of liquidity to the upside, okay? Um, that's only if we zoom in though. So there's still not a lot of it, unless I kind of adjust this, zoom in, kind of make it look nicer for me, right? There's a little bit up to around 64. It looks like it goes up to 64.7, 64.8 even, which is very realistic, right? We could, in this week up here, possibly, like I said, we're not going to probably revisit the 65.6 area, 65.600 area, but we could come back up here at least for the time being. This could slowly work its way up through the weekend until we have our Sunday close. So just kind of keep that in mind. If we are in a bullish sentiment, that can definitely be realistic and possible. Okay. Um, so, that is one potential possibility. The bearish case, as usual, is going to be that you roll over and you start diving into this liquidity down here. And I gave you some of those levels as well. The 62.140, the 61.5, like those are areas to watch out for, okay? Moving now into the 1 hour, let's see what we're going to expect today with the 1 hour and the 15 here. So moving into the 1 hour, um, you can see that we started diving into this upper liquidity right here. Let me make sure we're on just 100x for right now. We do have quite a bit more above us that aligns with that 64.8-ish level. So, we do have quite a bit that can align with that on the 1 hour. There is a lot more red building up below us. So, there could be a potential spike through before we continue on. Not saying what exactly we're going to do, but just leave that open as a possibility. As long as, like I said, and it's obvious, as long as we don't sweep this low right here, our bottom's in for the rest of the week. Okay. So just kind of keep that in mind. We could slowly, I'm expecting, right now, I don't have a real sentiment, but my current expectation is that we're going to slowly work our way back up with price. Okay, we're not gonna, we're either gonna chop around here or we're gonna slowly work our way back up. Again, I'm of the mindset currently that the bottom is in for the week for right now. Okay. Um, let's see, checking off the 50x, you can see there's still some more liquidity above us. It doesn't get us, we don't have that bridge yet of 50x all the way back up into, 65K range. We don't have any in the 64 that's concentrated really. But for 100x, we could definitely get back up here. Okay. Going now finally into the 15, taking a look at the 15-minute, um, kind of paints that same picture, just a little bit more zoomed in. So 100x can easily have bridges. We have a lot of bridges to get us up into this area, slowly working our way back up. 50x actually shows the same thing. So if we zoom in even more, 50x does show that we have some bridges to get us back up here as well. Obviously, there is more concentrated liquidity to the downside as usual. But like I said, guys, at one point in time, there's gonna come a time, whether it be this summer, which is more likely given the time circumstances of Bitcoin usually. It's either gonna be this summer or come October, November, where we do make our final bottom on a macro time frame, and we do bounce from there, and there will be liquidity that's yellow and red that's right below us that we're not going to come and visit. I mean, there's going to come a time where there is going to be a bottom, just like there was a top, even though people were shorting the top still, when we were at 125,000. That price will ignore for the time being, and it will flip on a macro scale. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind when it comes to, when we see deep areas of liquidity, we don't necessarily have to take it all. Probability wise, we have to assume that it will be taken, but there's going to come a point, like I said, where it won't get taken. Okay. So anyways, guys, that's what I have for you today. Kiyotaka, looking at our order book right here. You can see there's a lot of orders below us, so it does imply that we could start taking some of this out. Not necessarily that we're going to, but just kind of keep that in mind. We do have a few slim orders to the upside, but nothing really stopping us from plowing our way through, really, honestly. So just, be aware of that today. Obviously, trade lightly today. It is a holiday. So, like I said, I am expecting more bullish momentum for today through the week. You can see we kind of even you can see it here, having Adam and Eve kind of double bottom type thing going on here. So hope you guys have a wonderful and safe trading day. Again, if you want to use this tool that I have, Trading Different, highly recommend it. Feel free to use my code. It will give you 10% off. So it's tradingdifferent.com/code/Sean. Let's see, one more thing I wanted to take a look at. Hopefully my computer will cooperate here is our simple map here that we have through Trading Different. Again, guys, you get a lot of tools if you sign up for this. Highly, highly recommend it. It's not the cheapest tool, but it's the best liquidity tool that I've found so far, and that 10% discount definitely will help get you a decent discount on it. So when it comes to our scalping timeframes, um, you can see that for 100x, we have, a more concentrated, 100x, 50x to the downside, a little bit of 50x to the downside, more 100x for right now. A lot of people took the long here. We are starting to build up more 50x to the upside, so more people shorted the market, it looks like, that we have more 100x and 50x, which is a really good sign. It tells me that we could possibly get back into this, 64-ish area, 64.4, and that does align with the 64.5 that we've been seeing. So this is a good, a good sign on the smaller time frames. Your 15-minute, your 5-minute, your 1 hour. This is a really good sign. When it comes to the swing trades, we are starting to build up some 25x. A lot of 10x come 60, was it 67.5? There's a lot more 10x. It just shows that, on your higher time frames, the 4 hour, the daily, like what we've been seeing, there's a better chance that we're going to come to the downside because there's more 25x, take this out prior to moving up, right? So keep that in mind, guys. I really hope that you have a wonderful day, wonderful Friday, and a wonderful weekend. I will be live tomorrow and, we'll have a recording tomorrow and Sunday, but it will just be once a day. So anyways, guys, take care. Have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you later.